Today's transfer special mission, sign Haig, and then probably sort out a goalkeeper. Again. Yeah, this is the theme of every transfer special, isn't it? Every summer, the cycle continues. We've got £11 million to spend, players that are ours with interest in them. Suspect we're going to be busy today. Let's run the intro and get straight into things. Yes, folks, how is it going? And a warm welcome back. We are approaching season number 5 here at Wanderers FC, but before all of that, the team needs strengthening. We are currently, well, predicted to be right down towards the bottom of the championship. I'd like to get some players in to make the mission of staying up this year and avoiding relegation maybe a little bit easier. Now, of course, last episode, we did pick up a few new players. Dalton Purple, decent little centre-back, one for the future for sure. The other man we picked up, Colin George. Two players that, let's be honest, aren't really addressing the immediate issue of trying to stay up in the championship. The other signing that we signed that I do think can help maybe a little bit more with that issue, Harry Addons. We signed him from Derby County, a Welsh international, but don't you worry, he's got English grandparents or something. I don't know what the deal is. Harry, if you're out there watching, let us know. He is a real player, not a regen, so he can answer that question. He is a new backup goalkeeper. We need a new starting goalkeeper, though, don't we? Of course, another new addition of sorts. Can we call him a new addition? Andy White's here for another year, if you missed that. Yeah, we're paying him £6,000 a year now in the championship. That's not cheap. Of course, to get him in on loan, I had to make the false promise that I might be interested in signing him for £41 million. I'll say this bit quietly, so Burnley don't hear us. We will not be signing him for that much money. But anyway, ASMR session over. There's still issues I want to address with the team. Of course, if we can get in Haig to be at defensive mid, that would be amazing. Then all eyes really on goalkeeper, maybe another striker, definitely another centre-back. Currently, our first team sits at 23 players, so if I do address all those problem areas, the squad size is going to be 26. That's a little bigger than I would like. May still be looking to move on a few players in this squad. And of course, there has been interest in players like Ajaria. He's been attracting some serious interest. Our vice-captain, currently wanted by Sheffield United. We had offers in excess of £10 million last episode. I turned them down. I don't really want to sell him. Another player who's been attracting increased interest is AA. He, of our wing-back options, I think is the one maybe I'd be more willing to sell. I kind of compare him and Ajaria head-to-head. It's kind of clear at this point that AA is a step down, and he did have issues of injuries. If I was to let him go, though, I feel like it's going to take a bid near £10 million for me to consider it. And besides those players that are having interest in them and want to leave, there's also those players that want more money and are unreasonable human beings. Players like Joe, who I like Joe, will probably end up being on the bench now that we are now looking to sign someone to play alongside Andy White. But I still feel like the 26-year-old here can offer a lot. He's unhappy. He wanted a new deal to reflect his ability. As a reminder, that new deal he wanted was on £14,000 a week. No. That obviously, that's not happening, is it? Anyway, that's kind of you all caught up with where we are right now. There is season starts in 4 weeks' time. Our opening game of the season is against Luton. Yeah, that's not the easiest of games. Just for a little bit of context here, Luton's 3 highest earners are all earning in excess of £50,000. Our current wage budget is £142,000. Yes, that's right. Luton's 3 highest earners earn more than my wage budget that I'm currently spending £40,000 below. Anyway, to kick things off today, because it's the 1st of July, there's loads of free transfers available. We did have a look at players with contract status expiring, but prior to our promotion, there wasn't that many exciting options. And at the end of last episode, I kind of looked at things here and thought, oh, there's loads of players here that I've not looked at yet. There's players like Nathan Fraser, who I like the look of, but I fear his wage demands might be a problem. He wants £24,000 a week. James Beadle here is not a bad little goalkeeper. Bags a potential 23 years old. If we quickly compare him with Harry Addons, which we did do at the end of last episode, I do feel like James is just a slightly better option. Obviously, both players 23, both players have played at a reasonable international level. I suppose the question here with Beadle is how much money does he want a week? And the answer to that is £8,000 to £10,000. If I'm honest, that is just a little on the steep side. Sammy Braybrook here wants £24,000 a week. Good player, not £24,000 good. I'll say 2-2, slightly more reasonable wages, it has to be said. Then again, when you look at him, he's just a bit of a pace merchant, isn't he? I did say last episode that maybe I need a successor to Egbo. I need a new player who's good at playing on either side. I'll say 2-2, to be fair to him, can kind of do that. But for a player who's going to be like a luxury sub option, I'm not making him the highest earner. Matt Macy we looked at before, didn't we, when he was still contracted to Colchester, I think it was, and he had really unreasonable wage demands. They're still a little on the high side. Honestly, he's quite a good goalkeeper. At 33 years old, he wouldn't necessarily be the long-term option, but compared to Harry Evans, he's just a little bit better at shot stopping, which I do value quite highly. But the wages are just a problem, aren't they? I remember when Dele Bashiru, I think he was playing for Man City at the time, he used to be a proper Football Manager Wonderkid. I think I might have used him on occasion. I've not used him in many a year in Football Manager. I feel like his polygon reminds me a bit of JB's. It's kind of a similar level and a similar mould. Is that fair? Maybe I'm overrating JB a little. Actually, you know what? I don't think I am. I think JB's actually better than him. Nathan Wood here is a great little centre-back, to be fair. I say little. He's not small, but he's a bit taller than me by a few centimetres. You can see here, he's been playing for Southampton for the last couple of years. He was signed for £3 million by them. Last year was on loan in League One. I am in the market for a centre-back, and I do like the look of him, but I already fear his wage demands are, they're a little on the steep side. They're not outrageous, but £9,000, it's too much. I mean, having looked through these players that we've already got scouted, I'll be honest, I don't think any of these are like no-brainer signings by any means. There's some good players here, players like Max Dean, who we looked at last year, but no one's screaming out to me championship quality, besides a few of these players at the top that just have unreasonable wage demands. Jack Watmore's not a bad little centre-back, but his injury proneness, the fact he's 31, and what I assume are going to be higher wage demands, just a problem. If I sort by reputation instead of what I've got scouted, there's a few more players here. Are any of these any good? Let's find out. I mean, Callum here, not bad, not amazing. I'll tell you what, Akpom would be an absolute baller of a signing. I dread to think how much this man's going to ask for. Moved to Ajax a few years ago for £12 million. Actually got 8 goals last year. I mean, he's 32. He's not getting any younger. But as kind of a 1 or 2 season signing, he'd be absolutely amazing. Annoyingly, he wants a non-playing job. Can I make him a player and a staff member? He wants to be a staff member, doesn't he? What staff role do you want? He wants to be a head of youth development. I don't even have the option to make him a player either. Oh, I'm just sad. I did think he was way too good to be willing to join us. I guess the fact that he just wants to become a staff member kind of explains that. Quite why he's decided he wants to be a head of youth development with these attributes, I couldn't really tell you. Matt Cox is great. Wow. Okay, well, I don't have this guy scouted. He's just shown up in the list here when I was looking at contract status expired, sorted by World Rep. Was at Brentford. There's a lot to like about this guy. He was on loan at Leyton Orient, so he knows our stadium well. He has no agent. Oh, no, he does have an agent. How much is he going to want? £14,000. Why? Like, he's really good. Not the best in the air necessarily, but elsewhere, he's just super well-rounded. I feel like I've got to hope a player like Matthew just doesn't have any offers in him made for him, lowers his wage demands, and I can pick him up. I think my hopes of like a bargain-free transfer are slowly but surely fading. There's just not really anyone here jumping out at me. I mean, to be honest, Kyle Samuel here looks absolutely mad. He's got crazy technicals, great mentals. He's apparently naturally a centre-back. With that jumping reach, he's never playing centre-back. As a backup right wing-back, he'd actually be kind of competitive versus Ajaria, would he not? I mean, look at him compared to Ajaria. He's probably way better. The issue is he can't play right wing-back. The other issue might be how much he wants a week. Yeah, he does want quite a lot. You know what? I'll put in a scout report. We'll see what the scouts are saying. I like the look of him. He could maybe be a really good defensive midfielder. He'd actually be a really good defensive midfielder. As a defensive midfielder on support, lacks a bit of strength and aggression, but look at everything else. With that technique as well, he'd be so good with the ball at his feet. That's really disappointing that he wants so much. Of course, we've already got Haig potentially joining us to join at defensive mid. I've not made any more bids right now. I kind of want to find out if Haig's going to sign for us or not. I'm concerned there's so many Premier League teams interested, it could be a problem. The other thing that I maybe need to concern myself with is players with contracts expiring at the end of the current year. John Murphy, John Murray, sorry, I know my own player's name, contract status expiring. I'm just going to trigger a contract extension. Lewis Meek has significant potential. We'll give him a brand new deal. Why not? We did actually try and offer him out last episode, so I'm glad he's not holding that against me. I'll offer him an optional contract extension with the club as well. His wage demands are very low. Top division wage rise. You know what, mate? If we get to the Premier League, sure, you can have an extra £180 a week. Mark Marshall's another good youngster in our team who I'm not sure is ever going to play for us, but with his contract expiring, I'm going to trigger a contract extension. Similar situation with Tom Reeves as well. Just trigger the extensions that we gave these players. In fact, I'm beginning to realise that for all these young players with contracts expiring who have potential, I have the ability to trigger all their extensions. No disrespect to Mark here. Of all the players we've looked at, he is very underwhelming. Not going to trigger his. In terms of the older players in this list, I mean, Connor Pye, transfer status expiring. I'm going to ask his agent if there's any interest in him. There isn't. My concern with Connor Pye is that I know his wage demands are very, very unreasonable here, or at least they were before we got promoted. He wants £10,000 as a backup left back. If I don't sell him, I'm just going to lose him on a free, and that is mega frustrating. I'll offer him out and see if we have any interest. I did that earlier on in the summer, and no one came around. Joe Taylor was concerned I was trying to sell him earlier on in the summer. I feel like I do need to actually sell him. Is there any interest in him? Our agent says there isn't. Any intermediaries know of any teams that might be interested? No. That's unfortunate. I mean, what are his wage demands if we do want to give him a new contract? He's waiting on the fulfillment of a promise. That promise is that I'm not going to sell him. Well, that's awkward, isn't it? You know what, in general, I don't think any of these contracts need to be worried about. We've triggered a load of contract extensions for these players. So, yeah, contracts no longer a problem. For the most part, obviously, the Pye one, annoying. The Taylor one, a problem. Not the biggest problems in the world, perhaps. Okay, annoyingly, lots of interest for players that I'm currently, interested in signing. Matthew Cox, bids made by Swansea. I'm really tempted to make an offer for him here and go big. And what's his wage demands? Remind me. Okay, that's gone up. I can't afford that, can I? What we can afford is this. £3.5 million for Haig. Not a cheap deal by any means, but I really like the look of this guy. Scouts rate him highly. 19 years old. Turns 20 soon, but great potential. English defensive midfielder. He's young. He can grow with the team. He fits the formation immediately. And I think if we just compare him with Matos, who was the starter last year in the same position, it's safe to say he's a pretty big upgrade outside of the physicals. Obviously, if you weren't here last episode, you don't know about the fact I accidentally double-clicked on my mouse. So there is a 40% profit of sell-on. I'm going to hope I can buy that clause out nice and early. In terms of his development, I'm actually going to train him, I think, as a Segundo Volante. And the reason for doing that is it will help with some of his core defensive attributes, but it's also going to help with his physicals. I do need him to be a little bit more mobile in our team. All I'm saying is that if you believe star ratings are accurate, he should be good enough to fit in. I realise that with this current team selection, Alan Flood, Dolke, Ejaria, they're all 19. We are built young at the back. Shopping list today still, striker, centre-back, goalkeeper. I feel like the striker and centre-back I'm not as worried about. Harry Evans, I think in an emergency, could still be our goalkeeper for the coming year for at least a little bit. I'd really like a goalkeeper now. I mean, I'm looking at the goalkeepers we've got scouted. Obviously, we know Cox is off the table. Beadle is good. He's not great, but he is also the second best goalkeeper I've got scouted. I mean, Caleb Ansom, he still exists. He is still here. He really was quite solid for us last year when he wasn't injured. Obviously, they didn't want to loan him back to me because they wanted him in a different environment, and they're sticking to their guns for now. I wish in this kind of situation you could ask the player to be like, hey, look, tell them how great you were with us, how much fun you had. Then maybe he'd be allowed to join us. I'll keep an eye on him. Really, I would like to sign a permanent solution in goal. Look at all these goalkeepers I've got scouted. None of them is showing championship quality, which is a bit concerning. I know I'm meant to be looking for goalkeepers. I was just looking at players with contract status expired. Al Hamadi here is really quite good. If I just compare him quickly with Dane Scarlett, he's like the evolved form of Dane Scarlett. It's like the same polygon, but bigger on one side. He's 26 years old. He was previously contracted to Ipswich. Before I talked to him up, should have checked the wage demands. They're not outrageously high, but £10,000 is just a little bit too much for my liking. But he's really good as a pressing forward. Oh, it's too much. I feel like I need to be patient. I do need to remind myself, I do have transfer budget and wage budget to spend. Like, there is actually money to spend here. So I could be looking, instead of at free transfers, at players maybe with contract status expired, or maybe alternatively, who are transfer listed. I mean, Hayden Carter here is not awful. Not quite what I'm looking for. Just as a reminder, the player who would currently play centre-back if I can't find anyone is Will Fish. So he's kind of the man you've got to rate anyone against. And I don't know, Hayden is better than Fish in, well, certain aspects, especially with the ball at his feet. But from a defensive point of view, I need someone who's basically a blend of both of these players. Can anyone else remember when Scott Twine was really hyped up? He had a crazy season at MK Dons and then was signed by Burnley for $7 million. In this universe, it's not exactly gone to plan for him. In fact, if you look at things here, he has barely been playing the last couple of years at various championship clubs. He's really not a bad player. And in terms of value for money, in terms of transfer value, good deal. My concern is those wages. I just can't afford those. Obviously, the other factor is I need a centre-back. I need a centre-back, not someone who plays attacking midfielder. I'll tell you what, Urea here is really, really good. Ivorian international at youth level, plays for Norwich, currently listed as an emergency backup. He's pacey, not the craziest in the air, but has good jumping reach. He's kind of tall. I mean, if I now compare him with Fish, who was on that list, I'm just blind. Oh, he's very good, is JJ here. Is it JJ? JJ? Someone let me know. He's actually naturally a defensive mid rather than a centre-back. I'd quite like to sign him. His wages are low too. He'd be quite a good signing. I like how good he is with the ball at his feet. That could definitely be beneficial for us at centre-back. The concern naturally is going to be the transfer fee that Norwich expect. I'm going to offer them $1 million up front and then $1 million in instalments. I do think using instalments here is probably a sensible way to try and stretch our transfer budget a little wider and maybe get a good deal here. How about $1 million up front, $2 million over the next 3 years? That's actually not a bad little deal, I don't think. I like the look of this guy a lot. If I just compare him here with Mbete, who of course I was kind of nailed on as our left centre-back, you can see very similar mould of player, but just a lot more well-rounded than Mbete. He's right-footed as well. What I'd probably end up doing if I could sign him up is play Edmondson in the middle. Obviously, Edmondson's aerial presence is probably best utilised there. And then JJ would play right centre-back. I feel like that's a good deal. Just as a reminder, I've offered $1 million up front there, then $2 million over the next 3 years. Our transfer budget looks really, really healthy. Our actual overall balance is way below the transfer budget. That is because the transfer budget is kind of a hangover from when we had 11, 10 million pounds in the bank a few years ago. Football Manager has this really bad habit of kind of not updating the transfer budget year to year if you don't spend it, even if the overall balance is declining. Our facilities have meant that over the last few years, we've just hemorrhaged money. Hoping that now we're in the Championship, we're going to be a bit more financially stable. We should kind of plateau out our balance over the course of the year rather than this steady decline that relies on sales. But yeah, with that in mind, it looks like we've got £7 million. We really don't have £7 million. He's interested in negotiating terms, but feels there's more appealing options elsewhere. Has someone else made a bid for him? Not yet, but Bristol Rovers want him, and so do Watford. Look, they're both in League Two. There's no way he goes to a League One team actually in Watford, but there's no way he goes to a League One team over me. Mate, you're going to be a regular starter off the rip. You've got to believe in yourself here more, lad. I think he's the real deal. He wants £6,000. That's a little on the steeper side. How about this? Get rid of the yearly wage rise. If we get promoted to the Premier League, you can have a 50% wage rise. I'll give you the £5.5 thousand. Your agent can have as much money as I can give him. And if we are promoted, you can have a 3-year extension on your contract. Okay, I feel like there's something to negotiate here. I'm going to lower his wages to £5.5 thousand. Andy White is our current top earner on £6,000. That is way below the Championship average, to be clear. My concern is if I start offering new players, say 7, 8, £10,000 a week, current players that are already at the club that have the same squad status will ask for a similar sum of money. I don't want to spiral it out of control. So if we can negotiate hard here, that would be the name of the game. JJ really wants a 3-year deal. I'll go as high as £6,000. I'll give him a bit more in terms of a signing on fee if it means he'll sign for us. Unused sub fee I'm going to bump up. He's going to be a regular starter for us. And I'm also going to put in a release clause here. Relegation release clause. I'll put it at 2.5 million. Suggest it. He's accepted it. That was a nervy negotiation. I really didn't want that one to collapse. Glad that we've got a deal done. It's going to make him the joint highest earner, which is maybe a little on the high side, but I do think he's really good. I think our scouts actually underrate him a little bit as a centre-back. Now, the question is, what other players have a contract expiring in 1 year that I could look to sign and that their wages I can afford? Was looking at striker options to partner Andy White. There's no one jumping out at me. What if I put contract status or transfer status listed? I am also just going to have to put in a wage limit here. Notice a lot of players coming up with wages that I know I'm not going to be able to afford. Interesting. Yeboah, who we had on loan last year, is transfer listed at 1.8 million. Sadly, he's got an injury at the moment. He wasn't a bad striker for us, but I kind of expected him to deliver more based on his attributes. I am still thinking about that guy we nearly signed from Reading. Did you watch last episode? I hope you watched last episode. There was that really good player at Reading, wasn't there, that I liked the look of? Marcus Sheldon. I still really like the idea of signing this guy. I think before I negotiated a £4 million bid to him, I'm going to try and use installments again to get a deal that is a bit more favourable to me in the immediate future. I'll offer 1 million up front, 3.6 over the next 3 years. They've accepted that. Now, he'd only just signed a new deal before, so he didn't want to talk to me. It's still a little soon. He's still got reservations about talking to me. He does want to talk to me, though. He wants to be a star player, and he still needs further incentives. Bloody hell. I'll give you penalties. How does that sound? Not enough for him. Long-term aims for the club. I want to say make the championship playoffs next year, but that's a bit ambitious. How about make the championship playoffs in 2 years' time? Suggest. Oh, Marcus, don't ruin it. I'll tell him the aims this year are avoid a relegation battle, make the championship playoffs next year. I mean, what else can I give him it? You can take penalties, and I'll play you in your preferred position and role of advance forward. How does that sound? I don't think I could have done anything more there to make him sign for me. Oh, he's so good. He's so good. I don't know if spending as much money as I wanted to spend on him would necessarily be wise. But I look at that potential. I look at that value. Oh, he's really good, isn't he? Like, he's really, really good. I just have to hope that no one else finds him. No one else makes a bid. Maybe I can sign him in January. I mean, he's got a release clause of £5 million. It expires in 2029. Obviously, for other teams, £5 million is chump change. The reason I'm mentioning the release clause is I fear that if I don't sign him now with that deal we just did, Reading are just going to continually ask for the release clause for him. I feel like I can't hold off signing a striker hoping that he becomes available. I feel like that probably isn't smart. I've just noticed he's in the Media Dream 11 in League One now. People are starting to realise that he's good. Continuing here to look at players with contracts expiring in a year that have potential. There was another Reading youngster here who caught my eye for a moment. Lankshear. Good striker. Hate the fact he's injury prone. That value is very, very low for him, though. But I don't know if he's good enough to be a championship striker. Not like Sheldon is, at least. I'm wondering, what other players have a contract expiring in a year that are like particularly good that are 19 years old? Like, is there any mad, really good player here that I should be looking to sign? This guy from Bromley has really high star ratings. He's not good. I don't know what my scouts are smoking. There's players here that my staff like the look of. I kind of like the look of them too, but I know for most of them, not realistic transfers, at least not with these values, even if their contracts are expiring in the next 6 months. I've spent so long there not hitting continue once, just trying to find players. It is hard for kind of the wage restrictions we have. I'm looking for championship players that want League One wages. And that's not so easy. Oh, there's offers here that are good. And Aaron Allen. Offers made £10 million from Aston Villa. Sadly, it's only a guaranteed 5.7 million. I kind of mentioned it before, I think either the start of this episode, end of last episode. Of the players, Ajaria and AA, it's kind of evidence that AA is like a step below. So if there's one of these two players to sell, AA is probably the player to sell. The question is, how much do you sell him for? These offers look really tempting on the face of it, but it has great potential value. I need it to have value now. Wolves, I want £12 million and 50% of any profit. I know I'm getting greedy, but I feel like that's the kind of deal I need to consider selling him. Joe Gelhardt picks up an injury, out for 2 to 3 weeks. Not ideal, probably will be fit for the start of the season. If I don't sign another striker, he probably would be the man who starts next to Andy White. Kyle Samuel, I'm being asked if I want to follow up in my interest in him. I want to follow up in my interest, but he needs to lower his wage demands because £10,000 I can't justify. By the way, Al Hamadi, who I was looking at before, loads of interest in him. I have a sneaking suspicion I'm not going to be signing him. Sunderland have offered me a job interview. No, thank you. We looked at Tommy Conway before he became a free agent, didn't we? I actually really like the look of this guy as a striker, but his wage demands were a little on the steep side. There's teams in Scotland now making bids for him. What kind of money does he want? £10,000 to £14,000. I do feel like he's a very, very good striker, if I'm being honest. He's not that good. Because I've been lied to about agent demands before, I feel like I always have to go into the negotiations to check. But I mean, look at this contract that he wants. £12,000, wants to be the highest earner. He is not that guy. Brighton have made an offer for AA here. It's not a bad offer, potentially worth £10 million, but I want something that doesn't have conditional clauses. If I'm going to sell AA, I want the money up front. Another offer made for AA, another offer with all these locked-in bits. Someone give me an open offer that I can negotiate, please. Tell you what, my heart sank for a moment as I saw a Carl Flood injury. He's out for a few days. Everything's fine. This is really getting old now. Could someone make me a negotiable bid for AA, please? Also, look at this training development news. James Burgess developing nicely. Corey Gerrard, look at that development. That's what we want to see. Develop, Corey. Develop. And I'll tell you what else we want to see. Araya JJ joining us. I really like the look of this guy. £3 million is not cheap, but I feel like this guy at centre-back is going to be a great addition. Chance that when he learns to play centre-back, it kind of impacts his overall ability just a little bit. But in terms of centre-backs that we've looked at, he is by far and away the best player. Super well-rounded. Lots of potential, I think, for the future if he can just improve everywhere. I like him a lot. If I had any worry, maybe his weak-footedness is a problem, but that as a back three I like. There's still just a gap in goal, though. There's still just a gap in goal. Araya here, obviously, he came from Norwich. Norwich have given me a few good players over the years. Do Norwich have any more players that I could potentially have, please? I mean, obviously, if they want to give me Caleb on loan, that would be nice. Jacob Dennis is one of their goalkeepers who's on the loan list. He's not as good as Caleb, is he? I don't know if this is rock bottom. I'm now looking at transfer listed goalkeepers as if there's going to be some mad transfer listed goalkeeper available. And it just doesn't really exist. Obviously, with the transfer restrictions we have, there's always going to be limited options. I didn't realise goalkeeper was going to be the main issue in this save game. I feel like once I find a good goalkeeper, we'll be sorted for life. It's just about finding that goalkeeper that's going to sort me for life. I've not found it so far. I mean, to be honest, I'd love to just loan Caleb Ansom again. I feel like I'm going to turn up every week and knock on Norwich's door and go, can I have my Ansom back, please? Like, I'll pay all his wages. How does that sound? They didn't like it. What if I lie about an optional fee like we did with Andy White? Like, I might pay you £9 million for him. Maybe then they'll loan him to me. By the way, remember Akpom wanted to be a staff member? He's decided to play as a player for Plymouth. I mean, I couldn't have afforded the £17,000. I just feel like I've been lied to by him. We've set a record high for spending, by the way. We've spent £7 million. I mean, that's mostly on 2 players. That's so much for us. The overall balance is now at 2.7 million. It's actually starting to make me nervous, even though I know we're fine. Norwich rejected my bid. However, they might be persuaded to reconsider their stance should they be presented an offer too good to refuse, especially if it includes a sensible future fee. I'll give you 20 million. That's sensible. 60 million. I mean, that's not sensible, but maybe they'll think that's sensible. I hope I hit optional fee there rather than mandatory. Otherwise, that would be very awkward, wouldn't it? I hate to say it, not deemed a sensible bid. Never mind. Apparently, pressure's building on me as well in Matos drama. Alex Matos wants a new contract. He's got a 5-year deal. He's actually valued ridiculously highly. I've replaced him already this year. You know what? I'm going to offer him out. If there's anyone that wants to buy Matos for 5 million... then please make a bid, because I will sell him for 5 million. I'm just looking through our scout recommendations here. Will Lankshear actually would be a pretty good player. 23 years old, transfer listed at £300,000. Plymouth have made an offer for him. I'm going to make a bid too. I don't think he's the most exciting striking option in the world, but 23 years old, super consistent, loves import matches, good physicals, well-rounded. I'll be honest, I don't know why I've not looked at him sooner. Obviously, we've already got one former Tottenham striker in Dane Scarlett. Will would be a massive upgrade, and for £300,000, he would be a bargain. Okay, never mind. I know why he wasn't showing up in all the player searches I was doing. Our stature in the game isn't big enough to match his own ambitions. Well, I'll just go screw myself then. Amari Hutchinson is transfer listed by Ipswich for 2.5 million. I mean, the wages are going to be a problem, but he's really good. Can I loan him? I could loan Amari Hutchinson. Can I loan him with an optional £2.5 million future fee? They want it to be 3.3 if it's optional. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think I need Amari Hutchinson, but he's a bit of a baller in real life, and he's a bit of a baller in Football Manager, and he can play left wing back. Now, should you play him at left wing back? Probably not, but you could play him there. Look, all I'm saying, AA, is if you want to bugger off, I will play Amari Hutchinson as the most attacking left wing back in the world. Maybe not in the world, but he'll be up there. I'll turn Amari Hutchinson into the left-footed Trent Alexander-Arnold, because that is the kind of thing we do on this YouTube channel. I'll be honest, that signing has started off as a meme. The more I think about it, the more I think it's a good signing. I think I might be losing my marbles. My loan offer has been accepted. Imagine if he joins us. Looking at more players transfer listed, Bobby Clark is transfer listed. Very highly rated Liverpool youngster in real life. He's available for £1 million. I mean, he's 23 in this universe. Could he play striker? Am I losing the plot, or is he okay at striker? I might be losing the plot. What if I went to 2 centre attacking mids and 1 striker in behind for the coming year? Play Andy White with Ramsey and Amari Hutchinson, or Bobby Clark in behind? That could be mad. Apparently he wants £8,000 to £11,000 a week. He wants massive release clauses, but I'll be honest, those kind of release clauses are so big, I feel like I could kind of just tolerate them. For 1.2 million, he'd be an absolute bargain. Like, ridiculously so. Okay, he wants to treat the club as a stepping stone. He won't be playing centre mid. I won't be strengthening the attack. Mate, you are the attack. How much does he want? £11,000. I have to get rid of the highest earner and the sell-on clause. I'll give him 50% promotional wage rise. I'd be absolutely tanking the wage budget here. But I look at that release clause he wants of 32 million to teams in higher clubs. Like, if a team wants to pay that, they absolutely can. I'm signing him for £1 million. I'm going to try and lower his wages to £10,000 on the nose. He wants more because of the stuff I've removed. What about 11,000, Bobby? I mean, I'll be honest, this is an absurd wage for me to offer a player, but for a championship player, it's actually a really reasonable wage total. He's properly good as well, isn't he? If I had Bobby Clark and Aaron Ramsey alongside one another at centre attacking mid, that would be an absolute killer duo for the championship. I mean, £12,000 is not cheap on the wages front. I can absolutely afford it. Am I slightly biased because I'm a Liverpool fan wanting to offer him a little bit more? Maybe, but it's Bobby pissing Clark. I guess my only concern is other teams are looking at him, and I feel like if someone else makes a bid, they're going to offer him like 20,000 plus, and I just can't afford that. Birmingham and Rangers have made offers. I'm going to offer him more. This might be really stupid. I think he's that good, and I think the sell-on potential is absolutely huge with him. Okay, you know what? What I've given him there is absurd. I'll admit it. This is a ridiculous offer. If he accepts it, I'll sign him and be happy. If I don't get him, I know he was outside of our kind of budget, and he wouldn't have wanted to join me anyway. I mean, I have to assume with Rangers interested, he's going to go to them. I'm now wondering if there's more players in this list I should be looking at. Players that are just transfer listed. Players like Tim. Well, he was a legend for us earlier on this year. He's not as good as the other players we've looked at, is he? In case you're sat there thinking, by the way, Jack, don't you still need a goalkeeper? Yeah. No. Technically, the answer to that question is yes, I do. Is this a sensible transfer? Probably not. Is it a fun transfer? Yeah. Amari Hutchinson on loan. £6,500 a week wages for him. Optional future fee of 3.3 million. I genuinely think I'm going to be playing him at left back this year. And I know that's super attacking, but I do feel like, especially when you play a three at the back system and with a deep line playmaker on that side of the pitch who's on defend, we can afford to have someone who overcommits on that side. Also, people always ask me to do squad numbers properly. Am I about to do them? No, auto number, submit. Stay mad. Sky Bet Championship top goal scorer odds. I don't know why I'm looking at this like I'm shocked that none of our players are in this list. I'll tell you what, when you actually look at the list of strikers in this team here that could be playing against us this year, it's a bit scary, isn't it? Like, Lyle Foster's very good. Josh Sargent in Football Manager is also very good. Avin Nilsson for Bournemouth. I mean, this guy's playing in the Championship. Someone explain to me why he's not... I was going to say why he's not left. He's actually leaving on a free transfer at the end of next year. Adingra as well. I'm a bit scared all of a sudden. It's 2 weeks till the season starts. I've just noticed there's a gap in our friendlies. We can definitely get another couple of friendlies in before the start of the year. So right now, no transfers out. The only transfer in might be Bobby Clark. He's not coming to me, is he? He's going to go to Rangers or Birmingham. If I was going to guess, probably Rangers. I transfer listed Matos, by the way, and made him available for transfer. There's teams interested. No one thinks they can afford his wages. I can't afford them, so I can't blame other League One and Championship teams. I hate to say this, the more I think about the Bobby Clark deal, the more I want to give him more money. I just feel like the £1 million up front is so cheap that I should just throw everything I can at him, even though I'm looking at things now, and I don't know if I actually have more money to be able to throw him. You know what? We do have more money. I should not be doing this. I should really not be doing this. I'll tell you what's happening here. It's that release clause. It's the potential of selling him on for £32 million that is really tempting me. I mean, what is it? £10,000 extra, let's say. Say we'd offer him £7,000 on week. £10,000 extra, 52 weeks in a season. That's £500,000 extra a year I'm giving him. I think he's probably worth that long term in terms of resale value. I mean, I'll be honest, that amount of money I'm now offering him is verging on insanity, but I can't do anything more than that. If anyone signs him ahead of me, I can't be sad. Also, I'm sad about this. Will Lankshear has just signed for... He signed for Plymouth on £5,000 a week. That would have been the ideal signing for me. He didn't want to join me. I'm fuming. I should be happy about the fact that Andy White and Ajaria feature in the top young player odds, but I'm just still bitter about the whole Lankshear thing. That's really annoyed me. Alex Palmer has requested a transfer from West Brom. I mean, there's no way that they'll loan him to me, is there? I mean, there is a way they'll loan him to me. It involves me being scammed. What is this? Matt Macy is still a free agent. Do we reckon he's starting to realise that no one else wants him and he might lower his wage demands? Maybe. Maybe not. Arthur Okonkwo of Wrexham is good. Oh, he's £10,000 a week wages already, though. I mean, Wrexham have more money than sense, as we already know. He wants between £23,000 and £32,000 a week. I'm fine. I'm really fine. I mean, I really like the look of Daniel Barden. We've gone in for him before, but the issue was always his wage demands. I think it was like £10,000 he wanted before. Maybe he's lowered his demands now. He says he wants to be a backup. I can't justify it. It's tricky, right? I know what you're thinking. Jack, you won't pay £11,000 a week for a goalkeeper, but you'll give Bobby Clark £17,000 a week. I have more confidence with Bobby Clark. I can flip him on for significant money versus signing a League Two goalkeeper. Oh, I don't know what to do. I mean, look, he's probably not going to come to me anyway, Bobby Clark. I don't know why I'm even considering it a possibility. I think we might be in the same situation as last year. Is there any loan-listed goalkeepers who are good that want to join me and that I can afford? Loan-listed goalkeepers sorted by value. Henry here is available. He's actually very good in terms of potential. His current ability is awful, though. Neil Merritt, 18 years old goalkeeper. I mean, he's just not good enough for us, is he? I mean, Jack Wint, I looked at before, I think, at the end of the season previously as an option. He's a pretty good goalkeeper. Concerns over his injury proneness. I do feel like I could do a lot worse than him. I mean, he and Harry Evans could battle it out for the #1 shirt this year. He is not a bad little goalkeeper, really. If I compare him with Caleb Ansem, he's not as good as Caleb, but crucially, I can actually loan him. They want me to pay all his wages. They want him to be the first choice. What if I tell them he'll be the backup? They want the option to recall him. I mean, for £4,000, he might just be a player I bring in. I wait a little bit and see if there's other goalkeepers available, but I sign him to play alongside Jack Evans to start the year. And if some mad goalkeeper becomes available, I still have the capability of going in for them, rather than making a transfer on a permanent basis just for the sake of it. What I'm realising is, at least with loan-listed goalkeepers, Anton was a bit of a fluke last year. A lot of these goalkeepers are just backups for the teams in the same division as me, so of course they're not going to be as good as my goalkeeping desires require. I need a starter. Our offer's been accepted for him. That's promising. Obviously, we've agreed to sign him as a backup. Like I said, he may compete for the starting spot with Harry Evans. In an ideal world, we go out and find another goalkeeper. But at least in these two players, I have two players that I'm willing to give a chance in goal. I don't want to just have Harry Evans be my only goalkeeper for the year. Was trying to sell Alex Matos, still even transfer listed him. No one has made a bid. I'll leave him transfer listed because he wants to go. We'll see if anyone comes in with an offer. I am also just going to demote a few players down to the B team that I know just aren't good enough for us. I'm sorry, Egbo. I'm sorry, Joe Taylor. You guys just... yeah, you're not it. Some players feel I should offer Joe Geldhart a new contract. I bet they do. What he's asking for is unreasonable. Edmondson loves it. Matos and Ajaria are kicking off. Of course they bloody are. It was productive. You know what? If Edmondson's happy, I'm happy. Preston have made an offer for Burgess here. They actually want to make him a regular starter for them. That's actually really not a bad little offer for him if he plays regularly. Part of me wants to keep him around as our player, but regular minutes in League One would be really good for him. Right now, it's really between Zach Orr and Burgess for that spot on the bench where it's someone who can play centre-back and play defensive mid. I feel like Orr could maybe do the job for a year if I do want to loan out Burgess. I'm almost tempted to offer, make sure I can recall him, and also make sure he can play for my reserves if possible. That way, if he doesn't play for them, I can still play him for a bit. And also, if in January he's not been playing as much as we were promised, I can bring him back. I feel like that could be a great move. I am talking about Burgess a lot here. I've seen the inbox item. You might have noticed it. I'm trying to pretend it doesn't exist. Clark has agreed to go to Rangers for £10,000 a week. I offered him £17,000. And he'd rather go to Rangers. Well, no, the Rangers bit's fine. It's the amount of money he's gone to Rangers for that's upset me, really. Although, then again, maybe I should breathe a sigh of relief that the wage budget is safe. I am still really thinking, by the way, that Amari Hutchinson plays left wing back. That might seem absolutely absurd. I do feel like, with us sticking with the Flood kind of change, of course, he had previously been playing as a regista, but at the end of the year, we switched into a deep line playmaker on defend. I feel like this could work really quite well. I feel like mentality-wise, we're probably going to be playing on cautious a lot more this year as well in the Championship as kind of an underdog team. In fact, I might even set it up on cautious initially now. I feel like Hutchinson's creativity and pace could be useful on the counter. Obviously, Flood playing as a deep line playmaker on defend just offers us a bit of solidity to cover Hutchinson, who, let's be honest, can't really do any of that defending malarkey. I'm already training him as a wing-back with a focus on defensive positioning. He definitely needs to improve on that a little. Does make me wonder if I should be actively looking to sell AA. Like, I don't want to actively sell him, to be clear, but if I just offer him out for unspecified, let's see what offers we get. Because honestly, if I get an offer of £10 million or more upfront with a decent sell-on, I may well look to sell him. I know I've got Connor Pye as a backup. I've got Gavin Wallace as another left-back who's come through our academy, who's an option. I think it'd be fine. But this is the insurance policy of a goalkeeper signing. He's here in case of emergencies. If I can't find anyone else, Winton Evans will be our goalkeepers. The combined wage total for them is less than £7,000, so it's not even really a risk. And they're both here as backups. If you were going to pick one to start the season, who would you go with? I think I'm going to go with Harry Evans. I like Harry Evans and how quick he is, and also just his really good aerial reach and jumping reach. If I had a concern, it's his important matches being bad, but it's not like we're going to be prioritising cup runs or anything this year. The only time where that could really be a factor is maybe in the playoff final. The more I look at Wint, I really don't feel like he's a bad goalkeeper by any means. I feel like I'll need to give both goalkeepers an opportunity to kind of earn the number one spot. Now, the big question is, are we going to get any offers for AA? Obviously, I've offered him out. Aston Villa have made a bid. They have offered 2.5 million now, 7.5 million over 4 6-month instalments. I said I wanted 10 million up front. This isn't far away from it. I feel like Aston Villa should be able to afford to pay more up front, right? Like, not being funny, you're a Premier League team, lads. I want 12.5 million and I want 40% profit of next sale. Oh, they've offered 9 million up front. It's getting reasonable. 12 million pounds. I want 40% of any profit. Would they let me loan him back as well for the year? Because if they would, they wouldn't. They've offered me 10 million, take it or leave it, no sell on. I like AA. The injuries absolutely hammered him last year. Like, he had 4 moderate or worse injuries. Had a few little knock injuries as well in there too. I mean, he missed 5 months of football last year. He's good. He has potential. I do like him. But that kind of money is absurd. I've got to take the money. I hate to do it. There's no loan back either, which is a bit of a concern. Although, I've been asked whether or not I want to loan him back now. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll have him back on loan for the year. There's no sell on, that hurts, but £10 million, I think I have to take it. I don't feel like he's a £10 million player right now. And the injuries he had at the tail end of last year just really dented my confidence that he's going to improve much more. Which is mad to say because he's only just turned 19. But yeah, the injuries were a problem. You can see here, he'd be a good player for most League One sides. I almost feel like on the bench I want to play Gavin Wallace more this coming year. Is that mad? I might loan him back and he just becomes a bit of an emergency backup for me because Gavin is quick, he's attacking. He's very similar to Amari Hutchinson in terms of where the strengths lie. Probably another reason to ditch the Register and have Flood as a deep line playmaker on defend. Connor Pye still really wants this new contract, by the way, at the end of the year. He wants a new contract. The demands are absolutely mental. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to lower his squad status. He might be unhappy if he's a fringe player. Bad news, mate. We've got competition there. I'll lower his squad status and hope that that means he asks for less wages if I now go and offer him a contract. Is this going to be 200 IQ? Or is this a really stupid idea? He now wants to be a squad player. Look, mate, this is an end-of-season deal to make you an impact sub. How much? He wants £11,000. Like, no. I might go here from having left back as the best position in our team to it being a problem position. I can't justify giving anyone £11,000 except Bobby Clark. But that was a different situation. Like, Connor Pye's going to be 24 soon. It's not like he's massively going to improve and suddenly become this top championship player. The season, by the way, starts in a week. I'm about to get £10 million. I don't really know how or where I'm going to end up spending it, if I'm being real with you. I might be sat on it. I might look to invest it into the facilities. Luton tomorrow is going to be an interesting one. When I look at this team that I've got blocked out, I was expecting more radical changes. We've got a new defensive mid in Dolke. We've got Hutchinson at left wing back, which I still don't know if this is a good idea or not, but we're going to find out together. JJ at centre back, I like the look of. And then a new goalkeeper in Evans, who I'm not even sure he's really better than Anson, but the goalkeeper position is just a problem. There's not a lot I can do about it. Okay, Burgess is heading out on loan to Preston. I did actually recently reject an offer from Leicester for him. He was not happy that I rejected that offer. I'm going to hope that he goes away on loan, plays some regular football in League One, and decides to stop being grumpy. That's my hope, at least. Either way, he seems happy about the opportunity to go out on loan. I feel like this is a chance for him to develop and play regular football, which I can't really guarantee him. Might leave me with a little bit of a gap in our team. If he's not playing regularly, I may even recall him back. But of course, while he's on loan at Preston, he can still play for our under-21s if he doesn't get the minutes I've been promised. But if he gets regular first-team football in League One, I think he's really going to develop well. Luton, 3 days away. I wonder if AA is going to be gone before we wrap things up today. It's the eve of the championship season. Andy White's got injured. I love Football Manager, mate. I am now sat wondering, if I have £10 million to spend, probably should be buying players. What can I buy? I'll be honest, there's not that many millions of options out there of players that want to join me that I can afford. I think the name of the game would be a striker. Tyrese Campbell would be a potentially good addition, but he's on £40,000 a week at Sheffield United. It's just so far out of our budget. I mean, I'll be honest, I know who I want to sign. I also know they're not going to want to sign for me. Could also just pay the minimum release clause as well. Although, maybe I should be negotiating a little bit more. They've rejected the £4 million offer. You know what, Reading? Have it your way. I'll pay the release clause. He didn't want to talk to me earlier. He's probably still not going to want to talk to me. But if I'm getting $10 million for AA, I want to reinvest it in Marcus Sheldon, who is unsure about negotiating terms still. Mate, you'll be a star player. Oh my God, he wants to talk. He wants to talk. We have to remain calm here. This could be immense. Right, remove the yearly wage rise. When you get promoted to the Premier League, you can have 50% more. I'll give you £8,000. 4-year deal, contract extension after promotion, 3 years. If I get Marcus Sheldon, it would be an absolute game changer. I've given him an offer. That's a good offer. I want to sign him. We won't know if we get to sign him today, but I've had my eye on this guy. I now have to pray no one else comes in for him. £5 million reinvested from the AA sale on this guy would be one of the best bits of business I think we could have done. Connor Pye still wants a new contract. Connor, it's really not the time. Charlton make Wood offer. No, thank you. They meant offer for Nathan Wood. They weren't offering me Wood. Is he good? No, he's not. And with that, it's the start of the season. I don't know if I feel ready. I think I feel ready. Maybe. I mean, I'll be honest, it's a weird spot to end things today, because on the one hand, AA is leaving the club for £10 million, maybe. On the other hand, we might be about to sign an absolute superstar in Marcus Sheldon, who looks incredible, if we're being honest. This guy, as a striker alongside Andy White, like, I don't want to big it up too much. I think they are 2 Premier League caliber goal scorers, 2 players who could really fire us up the league this year. If they both stay fit, obviously players didn't do that last year. And of course, if we can get Sheldon signed. I would love it if down in the comments you let me know what you think of the transfer business. Amari Hutchinson, left wing back, thoughts. Am I lucky that I didn't sign Bobby Clark? Quite possibly. Is JJ a solution? What am I doing in the goalkeeping area? Have I lost the plot? Is this the best I could have done? Yeah, rate the transfer window out of 10 down below. Anyway, the last couple of episodes have been slightly longer ones. Next time out, we're back to start the season on Monday. I hope you guys are excited for it. The championship's going to be a challenge. Will AA be gone? Will Sheldon be here? Oh, you'll have to come back to find out. I'm out.